I'm going to start this quick conversation on the crisis in Bangladesh. And I just drew this like a really, uh, like childish map, so to speak. So basically, you can see that this is the Indian subcontinent. This is the Indian subcontinent, which of course was the same country, India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. They were all together uh, before the British colonizers came and took it over at gunpoint and basically plundered the country for 200 years, starting from 1757 all the way to 1947, uh, when they left, not because they were very generous to leave. By that time, according to some estimates, they have looted 40 trillion pounds, 40 trillion pounds from India, the Indian subcontinent, and then they, because of the uh, the Second World War and the problems at home, they could not continue this brutal colonization anymore. So they graciously partitioned the country in three parts. So this became, in 1947, this western part became West Pakistan, and this eastern part became East Pakistan, which is now known as Bangladesh. So, that is a brief history. So, from 1947, and in fact, today, 14th of August, 1947, the country of Pakistan was created by the British, drawing absolutely arbitrary borders, displacing uh, millions and millions of people, uh, a huge bloodshed, a massive trauma, displacement, families torn apart, uh, and so on and so forth. And my family, in fact, my wife's family, became destitute refugees overnight. They were forced to leave everything behind in East Pakistan, and they came to India, to Calcutta, Kolkata, where I grew up. So here is Kolkata. Maybe I can uh, pinpoint where Kolkata is. This is West Bengal, the state of West Bengal. This is Kolkata, and this is Dhaka in Bangladesh. So it's basically like a couple of hours of drive. But now these are two separate countries. People cannot go back to their old countries without having a passport and visa and things like that. So, so that is the story of partition. And on the 15th of August, after they created Pakistan, on the 14th of August, on the 15th of August, India became independent. So India's Independence Day is tomorrow, 15th of August. So then what happened was, I'm just giving you a brief history of Bangladesh to put it in perspective. So from 1947 to 1971, Bangladesh, which was East Pakistan at that point, uh, became a new colony of West Pakistan. This is the same country with 2,000 miles of stretch between the two parts of the same country. That's how arbitrary and crazy it was. I'm not even talking about the human cost of it. Uh, and after 200 years of British uh, occupation, one of the most prosperous, richest countries on earth became one of the most impoverished and hapless countries in just a matter of 200 years. So basically, British occupiers used the resources and treasures of India to bring back to England, uh, to uh, to um, to fund their industrial revolution and new prosperity. So that is the nutshell of the Indian independence. Okay, and then of course nobody even talks about the hundreds of thousands of young people, men and women, who gave their lives to fight against the British colonizers. Many of them were killed, many of them were tortured, hanged, women raped, and unbelievable, incredible stories of oppression and cruelty by the British. So, make a long story short, Bangladesh became, East Pakistan became a new colony of West Pakistan. The actual rulers were in West Pakistan. They were controlling East Pakistan basically to draw resources from that side of Bengal. We call it Bengal, West Bengal, and East Bengal. This is how it was called for 1,000 years, when during that time the two Bengals were united in one of the most prosperous places on earth. Uh, so, uh, so we always called it West Bengal and East Bengal, but of course now it is called Bangladesh, more technically correct. So after going through that kind of colonization by West Pakistan, and West Pakistan, by the way, never really had a democracy. It was always, almost always, ruled by military juntas and dictators with no democracy whatsoever. And that was supported always. It was that military regime in West Pakistan would be supported by the United States all the time throughout the history of West Pakistan. So when Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh decided that it's about time and we really need to sever from West Pakistan, because we are not getting any benefits of our independence, and they are sucking us dry, and they are destroying our language. The language of Bengali is very precious and near and dear to all Bengalis, all of us. So there was a huge language movement in East Pakistan that started in 1952, and on February the 21st, um, uh, some protesters were gunned down and killed by the Pakistani army. So from that point on, 21st February has been celebrated in Bengal, especially in Bangladesh, as the Mother Language Day, and later on, United Nations recognized that day as the International Mother Language Day, and it is now being celebrated by the United Nations throughout the world. So that is how important and significant it was. So from that point on, from 1952, basically a new liberation movement had begun in East Pakistan, and slowly but surely the movement became stronger and stronger. And in 1971, um, after a massive killing of people by the West Pakistan army in East Pakistan, a liberation war began. And for the next 10 months, from March of 1971 through December of 1971, uh, a very, very brutal, bloody um, war of independence took place in East Bengal, East Pakistan, and they demanded a separate country, and that country would be known as Bangladesh. And CIA and United States, especially at the behest of Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger, they supported the Pakistani army, which unleashed a genocide in Bangladesh in 1971 during those 10 months. And by many estimates, 1 million people were killed, and believe it or not, 300 to 400,000 women were raped and murdered. This is a story that many people, including many of us who work in the world of peace and a violence-free world, we probably do not know how brutal and how massive it was. I actually spoke with my guru Noam Chomsky a number of times about it, and he said that yes, it is not that well known, but some literature has been produced by some people. Some people have written about it, but it's very inadequate. In fact, when I went to Israel on a trip from a student trip from Columbia University, where I studied journalism, we went to visit the Holocaust Museum, and of course we were deeply, deeply saddened to see the horror that went on there. But then, when we had a little time to talk about um, mm, the Holocaust, and then I asked some people there at the museum who were guides what they know about Holocausts or genocides uh, that happened in other parts of the world. Do they know anything about Bangladesh and what happened there in 1971? They didn't know anything at all. So this is something that I just wanted to tell you, because this is my personal experience, and that saddened me even more that outside of um, South Asia, even I have talked to many Pakistani people. I have many friends here in New York City, and even some of them didn't know the atrocity and horror that went on. So that is the background of the political Bangladesh. And now, what is happening today is that um, the the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, uh, who came to power through a democratic movement, toppling other undemocratic authoritarian regimes that um, came to rule Bangladesh in the 90s. Sheikh Hasina uh, became a very popular elected leader, and she remained the Prime Minister of Bangladesh for 20 years. But then, because she stayed in power for such a long time, she became very, very authoritarian and undemocratic, and then decided to basically run the country with a heavy hand. By the way, I have left a whole bunch of references in the description part of this YouTube discussion for those of you who might want to look them up. So when the talk is over, if you go to uh, the um, the video and go to the description part of it, then you will find out some 10, 15 references that I have left for you to browse over when you have a little time. So, um, so Sheikh Hasina very recently, as a matter of fact, earlier this month in August, was thrown out of power. Why did that happen? It's because they, first of all, in my opinion, it was a part of an international conspiracy. We have seen similar happenings in other parts of the world. So the story is that um, Hasina's party, Awami League, that was primarily responsible for spearheading the liberation struggle back in 1971, when Sheikh Hasina's father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was the basically the all important leader in Bangladesh, and he was put in prison in West Pakistan during that 10-month period, and basically he ran the liberation war from exile. And his deputies, his staff, his ministers, his activist colleagues, they actually uh, ran the War of Independence in Bangladesh in 1971. Then, when Bangladesh became independent with active help from India, the Prime Minister of India at that time was Indira Gandhi, who helped Bangladesh to gain its independence, and she sent Indian army that finally went in, and then basically the Pakistani army surrendered at that time, which happened on the 16th of December 1971. So they call it a victory day and celebrate it in Bangladesh in a big way. So 16th of December is the victory day when basically the War of Independence was over and Bangladesh became an independent new nation. But guess what? It was the United States of America that opposed the liberation war throughout the time, and Kissinger in particular took a major sinister role to destroy the people and their independence struggle of Bangladesh. And then finally, when Bangladesh became independent, United States would not even recognize the new country as a new nation. So all the countries, one by one, recognized the new country, newly independent country called Bangladesh, but United States would not recognize it till the end. So this is really the history. So, and then one other piece of history that you want to know is that on the 15th of August 1975, only after some not even 4 years, less than 4 years, Sheikh Mujib, who is called the father of the nation in Bangladesh, was killed along with his entire family in his residence by Bangladeshi army, a section of army that revolted against Sheikh Mujib. And many people say that that was also secretly supported by United States and CIA. Now, nobody talks about CIA on mass media. We never hear about it, as if it does not exist. But the history for us, the soldiers of peace movement, is that throughout the world, in many different parts of the world, United States and CIA have clandestinely or openly supported military dictators, autocrats, ruthless, cruel rulers, and regimes. They did it in Chile, Pinochet. They did it in Indonesia, Suharto. They did it in South Africa. They did it in many different parts of the world. And we know the recent history that unfolded in Iraq and some other places. That history is like a memory is very fresh. So Bangladesh is really a part of that. So the quota movement that was really a very archaic system that mandated that relatives and sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters of the soldiers of the liberation movement in 1971 would automatically get government jobs, and there would be a huge percentage of government jobs set aside for them. That really, so to speak, threw the people of Bangladesh, from the cliff, and they decided to come down on the street, and they started a huge movement, and students were at the forefront of the movement. And their intentions were very honest. They were sincere, honest students. And Hasina's government started a brutal oppression on them and killed many, many, many people in the month of July. And then, after a very difficult, bloody few weeks, it really became a national movement, and it spread throughout the country. And by its sheer force of power, they forced Sheikh Hasina to leave the country, and she fled. She went to India, and I think she is staying in India on a foreign visa since then. Um, and then she actually applied for political asylum in Great Britain and United States, but they refused to give her a political asylum, which is another hypocrisy, in my opinion, because we all know that many criminals and horrific people that were responsible for genocides and brutalities in their own countries, they actually got asylum in the United States, and they live in the United States right now as we speak. But they would not give asylum to Sheikh Hasina when she asked for it. So these things are happening. Why was CIA against Hasina suddenly? Many people say that one reason is that she actually started developing the economy of Bangladesh in a great way without taking any help, any financial help from International Monetary Fund and World Bank. At least she was not completely dependent on them anymore. So that is one quote unquote crime that she committed, that she actually bypassed those very powerful organizations and developed economy of her own country um, on her own, and taking help from India. And the other reason is that she actively stopped the United States uh, from basically taking over this small island right here. This is Bangladesh. I actually tried to. I don't know if you can see it, but I tried to map outline the map of Bangladesh with dark blue. So this is Bangladesh, and this is the southern end of Bangladesh, and this is Bay of Bengal. Right here, there is a little island called Saint Martin's. So United States wanted to buy that island, occupy that island, to create a army base, which is probably might be important for us, Brooklyn for Peace, and like-minded people like us who care about a war-free and violence-free world. So the Saint Martin, Sheikh Hasina would not give it up to the United States. So she created real bad blood with the US. And then now, after she left the country and fled to India, she actually gave interviews to some media organizations. The United States asked for St. Martin's Island, and they said that if she gives it up, then she will remain in power. That's how simple it is. And she refused. So that was her other crime. And then they decided that it was time for her to go. The new regime, right now, there is an interim government. And I am a huge friend of Bangladesh. I consider myself, I am a Bengali, first of all, and I deeply care about the united history of both Bengals, and we have a 1,000-year long history. And I have so many friends from Bangladesh. And in fact, this morning I had a Zoom conversation with a Muslim friend, a very dear friend, totally secular, peace-minded people, and we spoke with each other over Zoom to discuss the situation in Bangladesh. And he said that he was cautiously optimistic that maybe something good would come out of it now that Hasina's authoritarian rule is over. Maybe Bangladesh is ushering in to a new peaceful democratic world. I hope so too, but I have my fingers crossed because of the history that we know, and that history is not really very peaceful. And we have enough reasons to worry that Bangladesh, a new Bangladesh after Sheikh Hasina's ouster, is going to be another Egypt after the Arab Spring, because the situation is so similar. And we have seen other episodes in India, we have seen other episodes in Indonesia, in East Timor, and many other places throughout the world where a peaceful, honest, sincere, youthful student movement initially started the regime change, and then eventually those movements have been hijacked by the far right and religious fanatics. And Bangladesh has its own share of religious fanatics. Bangladesh is a very peaceful, secular. Hindus and Muslims, even today, they live peacefully. I've been to Bangladesh a number of times. I have taken my wife there last year. We went to cities, we went to small towns, we went to villages. People are very, very peaceful, and Hindus and Muslims, largely with some exceptional incidents, they live peacefully.
হিমেরু রাতে ওই গগনের দ্বীপগুলি রে হেমন্তিকা করলো গোপন আঁচল ঘিরে ঘিরে ঘিরে। হিমেরু রাতে ওই গগনের দ্বীপগুলি রে পাঠালো দীপালিকায় জ্বালাও জ্বালাও আপন আলো সাজাও আলো এ ধরিত্রী রে। হিমেরু রাতে ওই গগনের দ্বীপগুলি